What?
Hi guys. I know that this is not my typical content. I am not a YouTube drama channel. I'm not a commentary channel, unless it has to do with Harry Styles from time to time. I really don't do this kind of thing, but I am just so distraught right now. I'm so upset and I just need to vent about this. If you're watching this video, you surely know who Trisha Paytas is. You surely know what the Frenemies podcast is. If not, you're going to be very confused, so you might as well just click off. Trisha has decided to leave Frenemies and I just need to vent. I don't really have many people in my real life I could talk to about this. I have two coworkers that also watch Frenemies, but like they're married and have children and like they can't just sit here and talk to me about this for hours at a time. So like I just, in true Trisha fashion, I'm gonna try to just like word vomit all my thoughts and just throw this video up there. And if any of you that watch me happen to also watch Frenemies, we can just sit here and mourn this together and just cry over the loss of our weekly serotonin. I have so many thoughts. I have so many things to say. I'm also just like, wouldn't even be shocked if like a month from now they literally come back and all of this was just for nothing. But I just want to preface by saying I have been watching Trisha and keeping up with her since probably late 2012, going on a decade now. I have had this woman in my life, and all of this to say, like, I am not here to be like, no matter what, I support Trisha. Like, okay, in a way, like I will always watch her because I think she is literally like the most entertaining person on the internet. Like there is a reason why she has managed to like stay relevant for all these years. She has gone through, I have literally seen this woman go through so many phases, so many stages, so many relationships, so many friendships, so many ups and downs. But like the woman is literally, like Ethan said in his video yesterday, like she is like a freaking phoenix. Like she rises from the ashes. She just always is able to reinvent herself and keep going. And she always has said over and over, like, you are the only person that can cancel yourself. Like if the internet tries to cancel you, just keep going, just keep posting, whatever. And like I'm saying, I've watched Trisha for all this time, and yes, I've seen her go through all this stuff, but the main like overarching theme of Trisha's freaking life through all of this is she's like a roller coaster, you know? She goes into a really dark place, and then you see her kind of starting to like come out of it. She seems to get to like a really good place where she has like a really good relationship or friendship, and she's kind of on a high and she's just like living her best life. She seems really happy, and then she self-sabotages it every time. She finds a way, and I'm not saying that like nobody has ever wronged her or she never like, she's always the one at fault, but in some way or another, she always finds a way to just like spiral out of a situation. And it's so hard to watch over and over. Like I've been watching her again for almost 10 years, and now she's like a 33-year-old woman. I'm just like she definitely, like she has mental illnesses, mental issues. Like I'm aware of that. It's very obvious. I know she's gotten tons of help for it, but it's like, it's just so difficult to watch. And I've just been so happy for Trisha in the last like 6 months to a year, because honestly, like, let's back up. Okay, so I did not know anything about H3 before the whole Instagram versus reality video where he talked about Trisha. I'm not like, I know H3 is huge. I know they've been around for a really long time, but I had never personally heard of them. I just knew Trisha, and when she had that whole breakdown over Ethan doing that video on her forever ago, the only thing I knew was that. And I watched the video, and honestly, like, I laughed at it quite a bit. Like I thought he was funny, but I generally did side with Trisha on this whole like, okay, you're like a not attractive dude making just like nasty jokes about like women's bodies. Like what's, like I get the like the message of the video was like Instagram is not real, like it's not fair to like just face tune the crap out of your body and make like young girls think that like this is the standard when it's literally not even real. I get it, I totally got it, but like I totally also understood why Trisha was upset about it, especially whenever Trisha has always like been the person to present herself as like no makeup, like all her, like her real body, like she's not trying to hide anything from anybody, whatever. So all I knew of H3 was I was like, okay, he's kind of a douche. Like that's what I thought. But then Trisha ended up agreeing to go on his podcast, and I was like, okay, kind of weird, but you know what? Trisha, you never know with Trisha, right? And when she went on that podcast, it was literally the most entertaining thing I have ever watched / listened to. Like, her and Ethan right off the bat just had this like rapport, this chemistry, like they just bounced back and forth so well together, and it was just so hilarious. And then, you know, we all know he ended up inviting her back. Him and Hila invited her back for the whole like bachelorette thing, and then COVID happened and she ended up like hooking up with Hila's brother Moses. And in the beginning it was a joke, and then it kind of seemed like she was trying to date him, but he wasn't really interested. And I was like, okay, like this is a hot mess, like this isn't gonna last. She's just trying to get back at Ethan and Hila by like messing around with her brother. But then like slowly but surely they started to form this like relationship. And again, as someone who's seen Trisha with so many different men and like so many different friendships, relationships, I think Moses is great for her. Like, I've never seen her so happy, and it's not even just like I've seen her happy where she's like in this like OMG honeymoon phase of like, this person's perfect, I'm obsessed with them. But like, she just genuinely, like, Moses is the first person she's been with that I feel like she can seriously just like be herself, and I feel like he's just perfect for her because he's so supportive in everything she does, and he backs her up, but he's not at the same time, like, he lets her have the spotlight. Like, he's there to support her the whole way, but he's not trying to like fight her for that limelight. Like when she was with like Jason and Sean, like, yes, they supported her because they were also entertainers, but like they got something out of being with her, and they were constantly battling to like be in the spotlight, and Moses has just been this like rock and support for her. So like slowly I became like a Moses Trisha stan. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so like, I've been so proud of her. Like, they're literally, she's engaged. I'd like, again, love Trisha. I never thought she would actually get married. Like, I thought she'd get married and she'd be divorced in 5 seconds, which who knows, maybe she will be, but I've just never seen her this happy and glowing, and like, you know, like, she just seems to be in such a good place, and she's gotten rid of so many toxic friendships. The whole Shane situation, I could talk about that for 3 hours. Shane literally shattered my heart when he just like completely betrayed Trisha, but like, she got to a point now where it was just like her, and the Frenemies podcast started, and when it started, like, I was just like, oh my god, like, I was so excited. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I did not think it was gonna last. I was like, this is gonna be a couple episodes, because her and Moses are, at that point, I was like, they are gonna break up any second now. They are not gonna stay together. And they, like, 39 episodes later, I'm like, oh my god, like, I love the Frenemies podcast. It's amazing. Like, I think both Ethan and Trisha have grown so much from being on that podcast. Like, it's made Trisha like so much more aware of things she says. Like, she's not the most politically correct person. Like, she just is a little like insensitive and stuff. Like, Ethan has educated her so much on that kind of stuff, where I feel like Ethan has, in a lot of ways, she's changed him too. She's made him so much more like respectful towards people, like less judgmental. Like, in so many ways they've helped each other. They've also together been able to like bring so many like horrible things in the YouTube community to light. The whole David Dobrik situation, which is another thing that shattered my heart, but like them getting that out there, them like James Charles, like just giving like victims and people that have been wronged like a voice, and just not allowing these people that continue to like have power and be role models for children, like they've brought so much to light, and like they've just turned into this like amazing duo, and like their friendship had just gotten so good, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, literally the Frenemies podcast has been my weekly serotonin since it started. Like, I just, every week I look forward to it. The second I get the notification, I watch it. Like, it makes me so happy. It brings me so much joy. I've been so happy for Trisha, for Ethan, for both of them. Like, it's been so great. And then this last week, it's just everything freaking spiraled, and I'm at this point now where so much has been said and so much has gone back and forth that I'm like, what was even the originator of the fight? I mean, I know what it was, and the whole thing is like, the fight is stupid. It's like, it's miscommunication. Like, I don't even know where to start. It's like, at the end of the day, right, what triggered and started the fight. Before Trisha, I think it was, I don't even know what to say. Before Trisha ever even started the podcast that day, it was obvious she was not having a good week, not having a good day. Like, the Gabby thing had happened. Gabby has been absolutely freaking psychotic. She will not let this thing with Trisha go. Like, Gabby has been like a very like triggering, awful thing for Trisha for like over a year now. Like she's genuinely afraid of Gabby. Like she has made that abundantly clear. And the article dropped about Gabby over the weekend, which was just awful. And then she never wanted to talk about Gabby on the show, but they decided to talk about her anyways. So I think she was already just like on edge. And then her makeup artist canceled, like all that stuff had happened that morning and she was just not having a good morning. And then everything just like hit the fan whenever she was trying to talk about, you know, Brokeback Mountain and all that Pride Month. And Ethan was talking over her and ignoring her, which I don't think he intentionally did, but Trisha is, we know she's a sensitive person and like that doesn't give her an excuse. I'm not saying that gives her an excuse, but I'm just trying to like say like, I understand what happened here was he was talking over to her, ignoring her. So I think that was where she snapped. In her mind, a switch flipped and she's like, okay, screw Ethan, screw this show, whatever. And so that's why whenever he's like, okay, let's do this segment, she's like, oh, this segment sucks. Which was not a nice thing to say, but I think that this has just been spun so far out of control where Ethan's like, oh, you were so rude to the staff, blah, blah, blah. Like I don't feel like she really was. Like, yes, that wasn't a nice thing to say, but it's like her and Ethan have both said much ruder things. Like the trivia and stuff, they've been like, these questions suck, this is horrible. Like Ethan gives Dan shit all the time. So it's not like I didn't think that was like the worst thing that's ever been said on the show. And then this whole back and forth starts happening about the 5% and the highlights. Trisha forever is harping on the fact that Ethan gets all the highlight money. And like, and then it was the subject that they had just hired this new employee and she didn't get a say in it. And my cat is on top of my cabinet right now. It frustrates me because Trisha forever is like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the money. I don't even care about the highlights. I don't care about it. Like, so why do you keep bringing it up? Like you bring it up every other episode. And I'm like, if you don't care, why do you keep talking about it? Like, obviously you care. And it just comes off as really freaking greedy. Like when Ethan gives her 50% of the like revenue from the podcast, which actually we now have found out it's 55-45. So she gets 45% of the podcast, which is like so completely fair to me because it's like, it is his business. Like he is literally has like 7 employees on salary. They are doing everything. They put up the money for the set. Like I don't think, and Trisha continues to complain about this, but like, cause he's trying to explain to her like the highlights is production costs. She's like, production costs for what? Like, let's hire more people. Let's do this and that. I'm like I don't think I don't know anything, but I don't think she even understands like production costs. She's like, where? Like, what have we done for frenemies? I'm like, do you not understand that generally like having 7 people on salary, health insurance for all of them, they literally build the set, film, edit, upload it. They go out and buy all this crap that they do for every segment. They coordinate everything. Like that he's putting in all the cost. She has no cost. Literally everything she gets is money in her freaking pocket. So like, I understand she pays for some costumes and stuff sometimes, but I'm like, why are you being so like greedy and nitpicky about this money? And then she ended up getting so upset because he says like, you do nothing for the show. Like, why are you complaining about the segment? Like, she's like, this segment sucks, whatever. And he's like, okay, well, like you do nothing. And that's been like a thing back and forth constantly. And she's like, I always suggest ideas, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Ethan said this in his video too. It's like, her example that she used in her video is like, I suggested that we do like aerial dancing and like Dancing with the Stars. And like, she did a couple of other things. And he's like, okay, yeah, so like, let's go to the moon. Like, he has a point. Like the things that she wants to do, she's like, let's have Adam Sandler on the podcast. Like, yeah, that's a fabulous idea. But like, so much is involved. Like, okay, the aerial dancing, for example. For that to happen, somebody has to like find a space, rent a space, find someone that can teach them the aerial dancing, get all the equipment together. I'm sure get like safety measures in order. Someone has to be there to film it. Like they have to figure, like there's so much involved in that. And I get it. I get that Trisha's like, I want more say in the podcast. I totally understand that like frenemies has grown and become something so much bigger than they ever thought it was going to be. But it's like I just have this conversation off camera. Like Ethan said in the video that like this idea of like, oh, Trisha wants to hire a producer that's like someone she knows was never brought up until like that moment in the episode. And then he agreed to it later that night. But it's like, I literally just, again, I think all of this is just a miscommunication. I think that Trisha just hit her breaking point, and I've seen Trisha have so many go through so many breakdowns, and she fixates and she spirals. That's what she freaking does. She'll cling on to one thing that you say and she'll just run with it. So I think the whole thing of like, let's hire a producer, that's what she's clinging on to. And now she's like coming up with all these brilliant ideas of like, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? It's like, you can, I'm sure you can. And Ethan would have agreed to that in the first place, but like you just don't bring that up until now. Like, I assure you, and Ethan confirmed it, like there are so many weeks where Trisha, I'm sure, like leaves the podcast and they don't hear from her until the next week when she shows up, and she's not understanding like in between, like there's somebody that has to prepare for that. And I remember even talking about this in the video yesterday, the first few weeks of the podcast, I remember her complaining that Ethan was like texting her too much and that he was bothering her and like sending her too many questions. And so it's like, you want to be involved in the podcast, but like every time Ethan's texting you with stuff, like you're complaining about it. So, you know, and I feel like, again, more miscommunication. Like her whole thing is, he said that like she wanted to fire the whole crew. I think what Ethan was trying to say was that Trisha, which I'm sure she did say this, wanted a new crew for frenemies, like wanted to hire new people and like not use the current people, but obviously they would stay with H3. And I think Ethan is phrasing that weirdly, and he did harp on that over and over, like the crew, like you wanted to fire the crew, which I get that making her really upset, because if that's not true, that makes her look. My SD card was full because I was just rambling. Yes, Ethan's saying that Trisha wanted to fire the entire crew. If that's not true, it was a horrible thing to say. And if he's phrasing it, like I feel like he's phrasing it wrong. I think what she was probably saying is she wanted to hire people specifically for frenemies, and the current people that are working on it, like the H3 people, just stay with H3. And yes, technically, if they did that, that would be like them firing the frenemies crew, but like they would still stay with H3. And I think he should have better clarified that if that's what Trisha meant. And like, this is just completely just, again, it's just spiraled so far out of control, and it just makes me so upset because I genuinely promise you, like if Trisha would have like chilled out, if Trisha would have just waited, like, it just upsets me because I promise if Trisha would have just like let this simmer and calm down, like she would have woken up in a few days and like completely been over this. Like I fully expected before like these million videos got posted that they would be back like next week, because the last breakdown she had was when she called when she called Hila all those horrible freaking names, like horrible. And Ethan freaking sat there and took it, and he never once brought it up again. Like a freaking saint. I could never have done it. And they were literally back the next week, and she got so upset that he brought that up in the video yesterday. But it's like, Trisha, it's true. Like, I'm sorry that that was like the darkest place of your life, like it was your lowest point, and you're sorry for it. Yeah, okay, you're sorry for it, but like you still did it. And it's like, it's worth bringing up that you treated, like, there have been times that you haven't treated them well, and like just take accountability for it, like you said. And you do take accountability for it, but it's like, I get you being like, oh, he's forgiven me for that, so why is he throwing it in my face? But like, you still did it, and it's like, now you've like left frenemies. Like in the merch situation, I could literally talk for another 20 minutes. The merch situation upsets me so much because like, so much work was put into that. Like, I watch all of H3 now. I am truly a fan of Ethan, Hila, Teddy Fresh. I genuinely love it all, and like I can tell, and I know, and I've seen like how much work goes into Teddy Fresh, like how much pride Hila takes in it, like how much time and effort, like all their connections and everything. And they've been working on the frenemies merch for months, and I know that they pre-ordered all this crap because people, like everybody including myself, wanted that merch, so they were gonna get a ton of it ready, and it's literally supposed to launch in a few weeks. And she's, for that alone, I can't believe that she could just up and quit the show, because I would be like, I would feel so bad about it. Like, and the fans want it. The fans want the merch. The fans want the show. Like, take a second to like consider what you're doing. And then she tries to be like, oh, Ethan says he doesn't care about money, but he keeps talking about this merch. I'll promote the merch, blah, blah, blah. Trish, nobody's gonna wanna buy the merch for a show that A, is no longer going on, and B, you continue to bash. You've posted like 7 videos ranting about how much you hate. I don't want to like put words in her mouth, because she doesn't hate Ethan, but now she's like, oh, because she always has to take everything to the 10th level. Now he's like the most vile human being, and she has no respect for him, and like all this stuff. Like, why would I want to buy a frenemies hoodie now that this has happened? And it just like makes me so sad. I feel like I'm just like talking in circles, and like I think the initial fight, like Ethan was a little gaslighty to Trisha. I think that he was rude to her, and it's not like he's not at fault at all, but in general, like I said, this is all just communication. Like I think Trisha wants some very reasonable things, but it's the fact that like she's never, like, just talk to him about it in private. If this is something you genuinely want, like I'm sure it can happen, but it's like the fact that you had to do it and go off on camera on the show about it, and now it's like she's just again fixating and spiraling and just going farther and farther and making it worse and worse. And it's just heartbreaking, dude. Like it's heartbreaking for me because I'm just like, you're in such a good, like, and this is mental illness. I know, and like it's a cycle that I've seen her repeat time and time again, but I'm just like, you are in the best place that you've ever been in, like mentally, like you're doing so well. Like this show has brought you and fans so much happiness. Like like Ethan and Hila have supported her through so much and been so good to her, and they're truly like the only friends she has left besides Moses, which Moses, by the way, is Hila's freaking brother. And she can try to say all day like, oh, I don't control Moses, like I'm not gonna pull him away from his family, but like Ethan's not gonna be in my life anymore. It's like, sister, you're literally marrying him. Like, I'm sorry, your brother-in-law is gonna be in your life. You don't get to do that. You don't get to like marry Moses and act like, oh, like he can do what he wants, but like I just won't. Like, ever heard of a freaking holiday? Like Moses is gonna want to get together with his family, and if you even like try to make him feel guilty, or he's not gonna want to leave you on Christmas or whatever holiday to go be with his family, but you're like not willing to go. Like that's so it's just like, it's so upsetting. And like I genuinely think, I think she's going through it right now, and I think she's just like a little manic, and I think that like I don't know, I honestly think the show will be over at this point, because like she just, both of them, it's just, I think it's getting past to a point where it's like things are being said and it's just bad, and it's probably the healthiest that they don't continue it. But I do think in like a few days time she'll regret so much of this, he'll regret so much of this. And I literally wouldn't be shocked if the show ended up coming back in like a month. I wouldn't. I would love that, but I'm also just like, this is so, it's a roller coaster, and I just feel bad for everyone involved, and it's just craziness. And I'm just like, I'm so sad, and I don't think this video made any sort of sense, but I just, it's so tough to watch, and I'm genuinely so sad. Like on Tuesday when the frenemies episode doesn't go up, I will be heartbroken. I will continue to watch Trisha. I'll continue to watch H3. I'm so glad that Trisha brought me to their channel, because I genuinely love the H3 podcast. I prefer After Dark over like Off the Rails. After Dark, I literally watch it live every Friday. I really like Ethan. I just love them together, and I really hope that they can work it out. I think I said everything I was hoping to say. It's just, I'm just frustrated. I wish that they could just communicate, and Trisha could keep this offline, but like it's just not in her nature. I mean, for 12 years she's shared every minute of every day of her life online, and that's why I love her so much, and that's why I feel like she's like a friend that I know, because I watch her every day, because she posts every day. But it's like, I don't know, it's just hard to watch. I think that's it. I rambled for so long. I don't even know what I said, but let me know y'all's thoughts. Like, what do you think of this? Like, whose side are you on? I don't even know that I had a side. Like, after hearing Ethan say like all the things he tried to do to make this work, and Trisha just still like without notice going on camera and being like, I'm quitting frenemies without even telling him, that really upset me. So low-key, team Ethan. It's not like Ethan did nothing wrong, but in this situation, I just think Trisha handled it really poorly. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If literally anybody watched, probably not, but I will see y'all later with a somewhat normal and less chaotic video very soon. Okay, bye.